Hi, we are Sarina, Hakan and Alex, and today we are going to show you some insights on the American culture, and we're also going to compare it with the Moroccan culture.
Come, feel welcome. Thank you. Sit.
Sit, where
At
exactly?
the table. Come on, sit. Okay.
But there are no chairs, or like...
Yeah, of course not. Say hi.
We're fine.
We're fine,
Yeah,
I guess.
thank
Yeah.
Yeah,
And how are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm really happy. It's always good to see friends.
So the return on investment that I proposed to you of 14%.
How are your children doing? Do you have children?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Yes,
have
we have
two
children.
children.
Where are they?
With their grandparents.
Yes, with their grandparents.
Why didn't you take them with you? Family is very important.
Yes.
Seeing some examples of the American business etiquette. So, American business people like to be 2 feet from each other when they're talking to each other. So about this far, which some cultures might consider big, but some might think it's a very close thing. Americans are very likely to use sports terms when they are doing business, such as touchdown or call it, etc. It's very likely that they conduct little businesses on Sundays, even though this is the day of worship in some religions. It is totally normal in American culture not to refuse food or drinks when they offer it to you, even though that we know that in Mediterranean cultures or Arabic cultures, this would be totally unacceptable. Time is money in America, and this is very important for them. Americans don't like to spend time wasting opportunities and decision making. As you can see, the next point is fast-paced decisions. This is because time is money, and Americans are very future-oriented. So when they choose for a decision, they look at what is in for them and how it will benefit them in the future. They are also constantly looking for new technologies and solutions. Thank you.
The first question is, what do you specialize in and for how long have you been in this position?
Well, I've been a teacher for the last 7 years or so, and I specialize in English and communication, I guess.
Okay. Do you have a lot of international business partners? Okay. Which cultural aspects in the Netherlands is most different from the United States?
Business culture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that definitely is different is how meetings are run. In the U.S., I think, and in American companies in general, if like a lot of the management is American, then meetings tend to be more to the point and more informative, as opposed to meetings in Holland where there's a lot of kind of back and forth and there's a lot of discussion. That's a big difference, I thought. The meetings in Holland, there seems to be a lot of getting people's opinions about everything, even if the kind of course of what's going to happen is going to be decided by management. There's still, I think, this cultural expectation that everybody should get to have their say, even if they're not a manager or not in a position of, a strategic position or whatever.
Okay, makes sense. How do Dutch working hours differ from the American working hours?
Well, people in the U.S. in general work a lot more. It really depends on the industry, but I know some people that even, they were working such long days they would just end up sleeping in the office because they'd be working till 1 or 2 in the morning and they'd have to start again at 8, so there was really hardly any point to get in the subway and get back home or whatever. I think in the U.S. people they definitely put in a lot more hours in general in the U.S. and that's kind of expected of them.
And in the teaching?
I know that teaching is much more demanding in the U.S. as well. There's no option to work part-time as a teacher. So in Holland, a lot of people have a day off because they want to spend time with their family, or they work a couple days because they have a second job and they want to have time to maybe do research or work at some other organization. In the U.S., if you want to do that, you could, but you would do that on top of your full-time job. So you would then have to work nights or whatever. So the workload in teaching is I know that there's also in high schools, for example, especially lots of people burn out or give up. Even people that are really very ambitious, motivated, smart people that went to the best universities and are really passionate about teaching. A lot of them kind of either quit or burn out after a few years because they find they find it too much. I think here it's a bit easier. At least teaching can be very difficult depending on what kind of school and all that stuff. But I think here at least you have the option of working a bit less if you want, if you can afford to. And, yeah.
Okay. Can you give us an example of a typical American business meeting?
Well, like I said, American companies I worked at, the business meetings were much more to the point, short, concise, and it was more about being informative than about having a discussion. It wasn't so much like that they wanted everybody's opinion about everything, but they just wanted to maybe establish what the strategy was for something, or establish where we were in terms of our sales figures, and maybe hear a little bit about deals that weren't working out or something, but much more to the point, and yeah, less about it wasn't as much of a two-way dialogue. It wasn't much of a dialogue, so to speak.
Okay, those were the questions.
Yeah, is that enough? Okay,
Yeah.
Great. All right.
So how did a typical school day look like in America?
I had the same schedule, actually, for the whole year. Every day was the same. It was, to be honest, it was very boring because it didn't really change. The only things that changed were the physical education classes. Once they were in the morning, and the other semester they were in the afternoon. Lunches were like the typical American lunches that you see in movies. So I would get a tray I mean, and then I would stand in the line, and then they would give me like a daily what they made that day. It was basically like a really stereotypical high school, middle school experience.
And your time in America, was it an overall positive experience
Yeah.
school-wise? So would you recommend others to go to America for their studies?
Yes, I would really recommend it because they take good care of foreigners. Foreigners that come from abroad. The people are very nice. Everyone speaks English, of course, so you can get around if you speak English. I would recommend it.
Great.
Hey, I'm Hakan. I am a student, and I have lived in the US for 2 years in Texas, and I will be telling you about my experience with American people.
First of all, were there a lot of international students in your school?
No, not where I went, because I went to a public school, so there were not a lot of, actually, I think I was the only international student, but there were a lot of students that had like a background, like a Mexican or
And how was the American people's? How did they approach you? How were they with you?
Well,
Were they accepting?
it was really funny because they always saw me as the foreigner, so I was very different in their opinion, and they always wanted to know how it was how life was in Europe, in the UK. They always thought I came from the UK, not from Holland.
Okay, well, as you can see, the USA is active between the linear active and multi-active line, but mostly they're mostly very linear active. This means that people there are polite. They're also very direct. They like to have a separation between church and state. They don't like to mix their social life with their professional life. When they go home from their work, for example, they want to be with their family. In the United States, people would not like to lose faith. When they have an argument with someone, they would like to confront them with the actual facts, and they would like to keep the logic into the conversation and solve this problem with logic.
The Hofstede model represents the national culture of a country in 6 dimensions. The first